Chiefs definitely needed some corners this year.
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
You are Locked On Chiefs, your daily Kansas City Chiefs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to another episode of Locked On Chiefs. Thank you all for listening. I'm Chris Clark from Chiefs Corner. He is Ryan Tracy from RGR Football. Let's dive in. Kansas City needed to get some cornerbacks on this roster after losing two of their starters and at least four depth pieces, or four total last year from their roster. They go and draft Mansour, Delane. They get Jadun Canady as well. So they get those two guys. But then they go out and they sign a UDFA and give him a max UDFA guarantee, Bryce Phillips.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about Phillips?
Max. That's what I love. This is all about being the other guy. And I'm not going to compare him to L'Jarius Sneed. I'm not going there, but the situation is very similar. So Bryce Phillips got on. He didn't quite make my draft board. I did have him as a UDFA rank. But he did get on my radar because I was watching his partner, Chris Johnson, at San Diego State. They play very similarly. They're asked to do the same things. I think Bryce Phillips is a little bit better at playing off man and true zone than he is necessarily a physical man type. So that's technique coaching. I think he has it in him. I think he has great click and close. He drops to where he needs to be, and he resignates where he has to be and can just change his direction really well. I love that. He wasn't the greatest tester. I'm double checking his ranks here. He was in the 20s in most of the athletic matrix measurements. Not a barn burner, a 6'4", 4.54, 40. So long speed isn't the greatest, 1.610. So like a little bit, that off makes a little bit more sense, right? But he's got a sub 7.3 cone for a corner. That means he can change direction, stay with routes, be able to bend them around. And what he is productive. Number 7 in completion allowed in this entire class. He shuts the ball down. And number 8 in making sure that he makes tackles. Meaning missed tackles. He's the 8th lowest in this draft class. Those are two things that you have to have. He makes a little bit more plays in a mixture. He's not like a pure hawk in the passing game, but he does make some forced fumbles. 16th overall in the Eagle playmaker, which is, everything from TFLs to turnovers to everything. And so I think he's this year's Kevin Knowles.
And what did Kevin Knowles do so well for the Chiefs most of the season last year?
Everything. They played him outside. They played him inside.
Well, but I think where Phillips is going to get his biggest play early is going to be special teams. And I do think that he's going to be a guy that is going to make the roster if he can be a core special teams guy. You've already got 4 guys I think you feel pretty comfortable saying are on the roster right now. No, 5 maybe at the corner position.
I don't know about Elam because I haven't seen him yet.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking Noel Williams, Delane, Canady, and Kristian Fulton as long as it sits right now. So there's 4. So then it becomes a question of who is 5, who is 6, because I'm guessing they're going to go 6 because they have the past couple of years. So I would imagine they continue going that route. So, but if you're going to be one of those 5th or 6th corners, and here's the thing, I'm not saying Phillips can't become a guy that can contribute on regular downs and be a cornerback for him in the future. But his main role early on is going to be special teams. So he's going to be a 5th or 6th corner. He's got to make the role that way. It sounds like he has the ability and the speed and the ability to move that would be maybe somebody that could help as a gunner at times. So lots of different things that could be options here. I'm just interested to see what they're going to do, because don't forget, the class that is coming in right now, this corner class, is basically replacing the corner class from 4 years ago when they went and got 4 corners that they brought in.
The greatest corner class.
I was 3 in a safety. Sorry.
It was 4 in a safety, right? It was 5 of them. It was the Fab 5. The greatest corner class in the history of this franchise. Yes, they have a lot of living up to do.
Yeah, and it's going to be and that doesn't even talk about any of the other guys that they brought in. that year as well. So it is going to be interesting. It's going to be something to watch. I'm going to be very curious, but we're going to talk about what more his role could be going forward right after this. We live in a world where we can stream anything, order food in minutes, and carry supercomputers in our pockets, and somehow buying tickets to a live game still feels complicated. Hidden fees, jumping prices, endless steps. There has to be a better way. That's why I use the Game Time app. It gives fans the advantage and makes getting tickets simple, whether it's NFL games, concerts, comedy, whatever you're into. I jumped on the app to check out prices for an upcoming game, and it honestly took me minutes. You can see panoramic views from every seat before you buy. The price you see includes all fees, no surprises at checkout, and you can even spot zone deals where you pick the section and Game Time picks the seat for extra savings. 2 taps and you have great seats locked in. Fast, easy, done. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Support for today's episode comes from Square, the system that helps fix one of the biggest headaches in running a business. Starting a business is exciting, but actually running it, that's where things can get complicated fast. Payments, inventory, staff, scheduling, online orders, it's a lot to manage. That's why Square brings everything together in one connected system. Square helps you take payments, track sales, manage inventory, and keep your business running smoothly without juggling a bunch of disconnected tools. One thing I've noticed at some of my favorite local spots is how seamless everything feels when they use Square. Checkout is quick, receipts are easy, and the whole experience just feels more organized. As a customer, it's convenient, and from the business side, you can tell it helps owners stay focused on serving people instead of constantly troubleshooting systems. That's what stands out to me. Square helps businesses feel more efficient, professional, and ready to grow. If you're starting a business or running one that deserves better tools, Square helps you sell, manage, and grow without slowing down. Right now, you can get $200 off Square hardware at square.com/go/lockedonnfl. That's SQUARE.com/GO/lockedonnfl. Run your business smarter with Square. Get started today. If you've ever opened your bank account and thought, where did all my money go? You're not alone. Keeping track of subscriptions, spending, and bills can get overwhelming fast. That's where Rocket Money comes in, helping you take control of your finances all in one place. So how does it help you track your finances? It tracks all of your subscriptions in one spot and can help you cancel the ones you don't need with just a few taps. It automatically categorizes your spending so you can actually see where your money is going. And you can set budgets, get alerts, and stay on top of upcoming bills. It just makes everything feel organized and gives you a clearer picture of your finances day to day. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join rocketmoney.com/lockedon. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. All right, so when we look at Bryce Phillips, where do you see him? Let's call this in year 2 or year 3.
That's a really good question. And for those of you that are freaking out that I call that the best draft class for DBs in Chiefs history, I know that you're thinking about Brandon from 2008. And yes, Flowers and Carr were very, very good, but that was a 2nd and a 5th. It was not a 1st and a 7th to end up as your starters. And that's why the deals now, you can find players farther on in the draft. Jalen Watson is 7th, right? Obviously, you had Nazi in there. You have some UDFAs that made it. Kevin Knowles is the guy right now that is on the roster because of what he showed you after being a UDFA, not being a draft pick. And so that's what I think is the primary competition for Bryce Phillips right here. Now, we have some question marks. Kair Elam is one of them. Obviously, Kader Coho is another one coming off of the ACL. You mentioned Canady, and I do think Canady is the right now fighting for that spot to be the nickel. So I don't think there's a nickel opportunity. And as much as people tried to put Kevin Knowles in the nickel last year, he did a little bit. He needs to be on the outside. So does Bryce Phillips. So for me, it comes down to, does Elam make it? Does he show enough to make the roster? Because if not, then it becomes a fight, I think, between Phillips and Knowles. And that's where I think it sits right now.
Well, it's interesting because you start talking about, I didn't even mention Kader Coho when I talked about the guys that are on the roster. And part of that is because one, the contract he signed, but 2, also because of the fact he's coming off of major injury. Like, it's a question whether or not he's going to even look like he's looked in his previous stints. So that's going to be a question. I do think he probably does make the roster, so that probably gives you 5 already, and then you're down to 1 spot, which is going to be very hard to make. But here's the other side of that. And I want to be clear. I'm not saying that either of these guys are going to do this specifically, but are you going to get in a scenario where Knowles or Bryce Phillips or somebody else or Kair Elam, which is an outside the box thought, comes in and plays well enough to make you think maybe we don't need Kristian Fulton in 2026 because of the cost, and you think about moving him because you have younger depth that you want to play. Don't forget, he pretty much missed all of last season because of injury and then couldn't get on the field. So does he not necessarily fit what the Chiefs want to do? And is it possible that that ends up being a scenario where Fulton isn't on this roster because he gets traded or cut at the last minute?
I honestly have trouble seeing that myself, but I will say this. I think he was healthy enough to play last year. I think he said that to some people that have spoken directly to him that I have talked to. And so I feel like he's on the way back. But if there's any kind of injury whatsoever to Kristian Fulton, I think that could absolutely be the case where they choose to part ways, whether it's trade or cut, it doesn't matter. Availability is his number one problem right now and has been for several parts of his career.
Yeah, and that's a big issue. And if he can't be available, and here's the other side of it, because to me right now, he's on the outside looking in of his starter role. I think it's Noah Williams and I think it's Delane. So I don't think you're going to be in a situation where he's going to be even a starter. So if he's not penciled in as a starter,
is that cost worth it?
Is the cost worth it? Because he is going to cost you a pretty penny when you're talking about a team that doesn't have the salary cap space to do a lot of things that they want to be able to do. So I do think that while I'm not saying it's going to happen, I do think it's something to watch and see how things look and see where he lines up, especially when you start getting into OTAs later this month.
Yeah, agreed. He is one to very much keep an eye on. Him and Elam in particular, because I think they play a similar style in that they're outside only. They are physical only. I think they're better at man than they are at zone. But how much of that translates right now, this preseason, I don't really care about OTAs, but the first 2 weeks of camp, that is the critical time for both those players.
No, and I don't care about OTAs either. But my point was, where does he line up? Does he line up with the first team? Does he line up with the second team? Does he line up with the third team? That kind of stuff tells you where the team at least thinks he is. And that actually would say something to me. If he's on the third team, that screams volumes for things. I don't expect that's going to end up being the case. But if he ends up on the third team at some point during OTAs, I just can't imagine he's long for this roster. And then that makes it maybe easier for a guy like Bryce Phillips to push his way onto this roster. And he's going to have his own competition with Knowles just to make it at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. But we're going to have to see how that fights out. If I know this coaching staff, they'll probably give him as the veteran the lead.
Yeah, that would be my guess as well. And that is going to be it for us today. We are going to have more of the UDFA's Chiefs signed to max contracts to finish out this series on this week. And then next week, we're going to start a new series talking about every single game that the Chiefs are going to have this year. And we're going to be breaking down the schedule doing it that way on Chiefs Overtime. Hope you enjoy that. If you haven't already, go check out LockedOnChiefs.supercast.com. Go get the ad-free audio. Go join our Everydayer Club and the Discord server. We appreciate everybody that's there. We appreciate the Everydayer Club. But thank you all for listening today, and we will talk to you tomorrow.